Yes, certainly, David. I thought the outstanding aspect of it was more the riding than the actual performances by horses, although there are a couple of pretty good ones from that aspect too.
Well, joining us down south in Melbourne on the day of the Melbourne Grand Prix is Keith Hillier. Keith, yesterday in the Breeders, did we see the best two-year-old going around?
We saw one of the best for sure, David, in Zaya. She won a race a month ago today called the Breeders' Plate at Morphettville in South Australia. It has proved to be a most significant race because XL Pilot was runner-up that day, and XL Pilot won at Canterbury yesterday, and behind them was Paint, who blitzed them in the Blue Diamond Stakes. So Zaya is very good. She may even front up at Flemington again tomorrow in the VRC Sires Produce. Let's have a look at her now. She quickly grabs the leaders. Happen raced in blinkers for the first time yesterday, and I don't think they suited her. That's Zaya going up, challenging for the lead now. Watch the way that she finishes off the race. She does it in a very workmanlike fashion, and I think that she's going to be hard to beat in anything she runs, and I'm pretty sure that they'll be tempted, strongly tempted, to pay that 100 grand to get to the slipper.
I thought it was one of the more outstanding Golden Slipper trials of the season. I liked the way she went to the line, and she did give the impression that she's still got scope for further improvement. However, the quick backup, if she runs in the Sires Produce, I just wonder whether she can be the same horse in the Golden Slipper.
Well, she's trained out of Lindsay Park, and they know what they're doing, Max, and she's such a gross filly. She went home last night and didn't leave a note. They really have put as much work into her as they like. She's so robust that I think she might, if she doesn't, it won't make any difference anyway. She'll come up to Sydney for the slipper.
Well, as Keith mentioned, great significance in that performance yesterday by Zaya, because if you go back to the race in South Australia, beating XL Pilot, who was outstanding yesterday in the Skyline.
Yes, well, XL Pilot certainly ran the time in the Skyline and has scope for improvement. It was his first run for a month, and he'll get better. Probably won't run again until the slipper, and that's XL Pilot outside the leader now, Larry Olsen up.
What a day of mixed fortune, Keith, for Larry Olsen.
He finished with a suspension, Larry Olsen. He's winning this one on XL Pilot. Max, I don't wish to be parochial, but I wonder whether the gloss is now coming off some of your Sydney two-year-olds. As we get closer to your big race, there are more failures.
Keith, don't worry about being parochial. That's exactly how it is. I would say that the interstate contingent certainly looks stronger at this stage.
Oh, that's interesting. And I did agree too, Max, with your point about the riding. I'm looking forward to seeing Darren Beedman again on Octagonal soon. He makes quick thoughts, and they seem to be always the right ones.
Well, it's one thing that has been lacking in Melbourne of late, I believe, Keith, and you were pointing out last week, quick thoughts, judgment of pace. Beedman has it all, but what a great race the Canterbury Stakes was beforehand. And again, Larry Olsen featured, didn't get up on this time, but caused interference, and had Larry Olsen won the race, I think he would have lost it in protest. That's him in the white colours. The horse in the red with the red cap is Sprint by Peruzzi, ridden by Larry Olsen.
Gosh, they went fast. 1:10.47. It's less than a second outside Manikato's record. 8 wins from 17 starts for Sprint by. He's very good.
He's very good, and she's very good too. She's got the greatest scope for improvement, being a 3-year-old filly. Alas, Larry Olsen won't be riding at Rosehill next Saturday.
What effect will that have on his chances? Will he be back in time for the slipper? Or?
Yes, and it does look like he'll be riding XL Pilot. But, of course, Darren Beedman rode Octagonal for the first time yesterday, and it's not a bad trick to just get on a horse and be able to rate him as Beedman did. Beedman made a sharp move early and went up to the lead in a slowly run race, but looked like he could have been in trouble a couple of times, but the horse responded magnificently. There he is going to the lead, and here comes Mick Dittman on the outside on Falonte. 4 seconds yesterday for Mick, but certainly he's lost none of the old verve. The horses just weren't good enough.
And Octagonal responded as great horses do, Max. Had the race been another couple of 100 metres, Octagonal would have lengthened that winning margin. He did look on, I agree, but didn't he pull something out? Good horses do that.
No doubt about that, Keith. The only problem I've got with Octagonal's run yesterday is how much it would have taken out of him. By gee, it was a tough run, and he came back like a very battle-weary warrior after the race. But I suppose if we had Darren Beedman working on us to that extent, we'd be a little bit weary too.
Interesting change of tactics with him. Octagonal hasn't been run like that before, the change of tactics of Beedman yesterday, but it worked on that tight Canterbury track.
it's got to be, change of tactics have got to be employed on these horses, because Octagonal can't be giving a horse like Nothing Like a Dane 3 or 4 lengths start and expect to beat him. He'll run him to half a length, but Beedman showed it can be done, and all being well, Octagonal comes through this run good. Nothing Like a Dane, well, he's got some opposition coming up.
Well, on that subject, Keith, tomorrow at Flemington, Nothing Like a Dane in the Australia Cup.
Yes, I've just spoken to the Michael Iskander office. He's into 7-4 favouritism for the Australian Cup. He's got to step up from 1,400 metres to 2,000 metres in a field of 16. It'll just underline his greatness if he can do it, and I think he can. Strategic's a favourite for the Newmarket and the horse to beat. The money yesterday has been for Barishnikov, especially Barishnikov, and to a lesser extent Captingly, the winner of the Oakley Plate a year ago. 3 great races when you throw in the size produce stakes at Flemington tomorrow.
Well, before you go to Flemington tomorrow, are you going to venture to Albert Park today? It's a pretty historic day down there, Keith.
Well, it is an historic day, and I love my sport, and I'll probably go there too, but I've enjoyed this Grand Prix free segment with you, David.
Have a look at him, an old petrol head.
Thanks for joining us, Keith, and I suppose